You know what's great? Theros Beyond Death. Standard feels fun again. You know what's not great? Spending a ton of your hard-earned money on packs and arena just so that you can build a single deck using the wildcards that you get. Based on the latest league results, the average combined number of rare and mythic wildcards needed for deck is a whopping 41. If you're super unlucky, you could have to open nearly 250 packs just to get enough for a deck. That is a bit unlikely and dramatic, but still. What if I told you? What if I said I have a deck that can be made using 0 rare and mythic wildcards? What if I told you it was actually decent? That's right. I've designed a deck that should be essentially free to build and in paper is roughly $25, has a ton to play and wins games. Now, I'm not going to beat around the bush, this is not the most competitive deck in the world, but if it's quick wins and fun gameplay that you're looking for to help you climb the ladder, or even if it's something different just to help you get your dailies, then this is ideal. There is basically no opportunity cost. It's free real estate. May I present to you Mono White Enchantments. So before I jump into the deck, please click on the like and subscribe buttons, click the bell icon. Anything at all that you could do to support me or help me out is hugely appreciated. So this is an aggressive, synergy-driven deck that looks to suit up some small threats with auras in order to close the game out quickly. In some ways, it kind of plays a bit like Bogles does in Modern, even though there are no hexproof creatures actually in the deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the creatures in the deck, then I'm going to go through the auras for the creatures, and then finally explain the interaction spells that we run. First up in our creature list is our most aggressive 1-drop, a playset of Pious Wayfarer. It's a 1/2 for 1 white mana, and whenever an enchantment ETBs, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. This will almost always be attacking as a 2/3, as we have a total of 29 enchantments in the deck. Next is the only non-enchantment based card in the deck, and that's Gingerbrew. The Cookie Monster really shines here. It's evasive, it can gain you some life in a pinch, it looks really well in pants. It's an easy playset. Next up is Mother of Runes. Okay, not really, but I'll say the life spenty in standard is just as good. This is invaluable for protecting our big boys. The lifelink on this can really help swing more aggressive matches in our favor. A minimum of 4 copies are needed, no exceptions. We're also running 3 Daxos Blessed by the Sun. The Sunbro is so good! On its base, it's a Grizzly Bear with a strictly better Soul Sisters effect, and with a couple of enchantments out, this basically becomes an impenetrable wall that allows you to play offense and defense simultaneously. So good! Finally, to round out the creature suite, we've got 4 Transcendent Envoy. Now, a 2-mana 1/2 flyer is a fine enough rate, but what makes this so special is that all auras that we cast cost 1 less to cast while this is out. Its evasiveness and cost reduction really shines in this deck, and a full playset is the bare minimum. It's also worth noting that 11 of our creatures are also enchantments, which will proc the Pious Wayfarers on ETB as well. So, with the creatures out of the way, let's move on to the wardrobe. We're running a total of 16 auras, all of which are playsets. First up is Sentinel's Eyes. So 1 white mana gives you +1/+1 in Vigilance, which is quite nice, but the real power here is in the escape mechanic. Being able to cast this on another creature after a board wipe or removal spell takes out your main threat is amazing. And here is one of the best enchantment payoffs in the entire format. All that glitters. My precious. This is basically cranial plating, but for enchantments as well. Let's look at a common example. If you put this on a Daxos with a Sentinel's Eyes and you have an Alcide out, that is a 7/6 with Vigilance, and chances are you can protect him as well. This card is nuts! Absolutely bonkers! Next up is Angelic Gift. While this only gives flying, it does immediately replace itself while being another enchantment for All That Glitters and Pious Wayfarer, and additional devotion for Daxos. Flying is not to be ignored, it almost always guarantees unblockability. And who doesn't want to see a gingerbread person fly? Okay, so we have 1 more aura, but it's not for our creatures. We're running 4 Pacifism just to remove blockers and to help swing races. And before anyone says it, yes, I know it's not exactly premium removal in this day and age, but this deck is basically free. Like, what more do you want from me? As we're not looking for the game to go long, this actually performs admirably as a cheap way to clear out blockers and just close in for the win. Don't knock it until you've tried it. Okay, so now we're in the home stretch. We've only got 2 more spells to cover, and they are our interaction spells. First up is 2 Banishing Light. This is basically a fixed O-ring and a brilliant catch-all answer to anything your opponent can have. It's also an enchantment. So what this deck needs to have a consistent game plan is a way for your primary threat to stay alive through combat or removal or bounce spells or rats. We've got Karametra's Blessing to do that and much more. This card is busted powerful, and no, that's not hyperbole. Not only can it give our creatures a power and toughness boost to help punch in more damage, but if they're either enchanted or they're an enchantment themselves, It also gives hexproof and indestructible. It's blossoming defense on steroids. This will repeatedly blow people out until they learn to respect it. Until they do, enjoy winning more games than you probably should. Our mana base couldn't be simpler. Now, this is designed for best of one play on Arena, but white does have some amazing sideboard options at the moment. So you could easily turn this into a deck for best of 3 or to bring down to your LGS. So I did make a rough sideboard for the deck, but bear in mind that this is a fresh new standard. The sideboard is likely to change from day to day or week to week. So you got 2 Soul Guide Lantern for graveyard decks or decks that run escape cards. 3 Apostle of Purifying Life for Mono Black Devotion, 2 Devout Decree to deal with the likes of Mono Red or Mono Black or even Jeskai Fires, 3 Glass Casket for smaller creatures that may prove problematic, such as Woe Strider or Cauldron Familiar, 2 Banishing Light for additional Universe Lancers, and 3 Dawn Evangel for decks with a lot of removal and sweepers. Like I said at the start, this deck needs 0 rare or mythic wildcards, and you can probably just start up Arena right now and actually just build and play with the deck immediately. If you want to make this in paper, it is clocking in at roughly $22 on MTG Goldfish, which is a steal for a deck that performs as well as this does. There are countless ways that you can upgrade the deck as well. You can splash black for Ephemia and Hateful Eidolon and Mire's Grasp for better removal and stuff. You can add green for Setessan Champion, Destiny Spinner, the first Iron Games. You can splash blue for Staggering Insight and counter spells. Or you can just stay mono white and add Eidolon of Obstruction and Heliod and Elspeth and all sorts of mad stuff. This deck might be quite straightforward, but it still has quite a lot of play to it, so I do have a couple of tips to help you pilot it. Sometimes it is important to not expose your main threat on turn 1, because it can be removed before you get a chance to protect it. So waiting a turn might actually be the difference between winning a game and losing. Sacrificing outside of life spent, you can make a creature unblockable if your opponent's board is all one color. This is particularly important against the likes of the mono blue and mono black decks that are showing up. Do be careful with protection though. If something ends up pro-white, it will lose all of the auras that you've attached to it. Everyone forgets that Alcide has lifelink. You slap some glittery pants on that bad boy and you will never lose to a red deck again. If you like this deck and you want to build it, the deck list is below. You can also click the TCG player link in the description box to get the deck at a great price in paper and help me out, which would be really nice of you. You'll also find a link to Ink Gaming where you can get some sweet custom gaming accessories. If you use the offer code Savantier, you'll get a 10% discount and give me a bit of a kickback, which will help me make more content. Let me know in the comments if you like this deck. I had so much fun with it. The first day I played with it, I went 8-1. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you've tried it. Let me know if you would change anything about it. I want to hear your takes on this. Finally, if you want to join my Patreon, follow me on Twitter or on Twitch or anything at all, links are all down below too. So good! If anyone watching is going to Magic Fest Brussels and you see me there, come say hi. If I'm free, I'll happily play a game of Modern or Pioneer or Standard or Pauper or Commander or... But until next time, take it easy and keep on janking. Peace!